Welcome to the Learning Project Network, where we learn through stories to make a change. The Learning Project Network, an organization dedicated to social justice issues. We are dedicated to learning about issues that impact children, families, and communities to help start conversations that lead to solutions. We believe that through storytelling and peer support, individuals can better understand how experiences lead to outcomes.
Hey everybody, it's Stephanie with the Learning Project. You guys, I'm back again with another amazing podcast. Welcome to Black Voices in the Community. You guys, I have decided to really reach out to amazing people that I've seen in the community. They either post something that's been inspirational or just have built purpose in my life. I have Alethea here with me today, you guys, and many of you guys know her, and I'm just so excited. You guys also may know her as Sheree. Did I say that right, Sheree?
Yes, you did.
But, we are having her here today because I wanted to have a conversation about what she's doing in the community, and something that she did really touch me personally. So Alethea, I want to tell you a little bit about why I got started with this project. So there's a project that I'm working on to understand the BIPOC community here in Spokane. I am working together with Empire Health Foundation to build this conversation. But it's been a conversation that has been really intriguing me because I grew up with so many different people, been in the community for a while, but we really don't know each other. And people were like, oh, I don't know anybody. No one lives here. Nobody knows. So I said, you know what? I want to do a podcast segment on people in Spokane, Washington that are in the BIPOC community. So right now I'm focusing on the Black community and want to hear their voices. And some of the voices that you guys hear, they are not from Spokane, but they live in Washington, and they may have moved out of Washington to somewhere else. But I'm like, these voices have got to be heard. So thank you so much for being here. And I am just so excited.
Thank you so much for having me. I feel really fortunate and I'm so honored to just be a part of what you're doing, because I think you're amazing. So.
Oh man, vice versa. I'm pouring all that love right back to you, sis. So Alethea, tell us a little bit about how you help create, because I know that you have a partner that has created this group. It used to be called We Are Not Okay, and now it's called We Gonna Be right? And a space for Black healing, correct?
Yes, correct.
Okay. I just got out of the meeting, so I want to make sure I say it correct.
Yeah.
But I came across this because I saw it on Facebook and I saw it on the Eventbrite, because I follow a bunch of stuff on Eventbrite.
Okay.
So when I saw this, I was like, dang, this kind of touches my heart, because I'm not all right now. I don't feel connected, and I typically do feel connected with my community. I do a lot of different stuff, but I was feeling some kind of way with all of the stuff happening in the community and in the world. It just really made me depressed. And when I saw this, I was like, I'm going to jump on this, and I'm going to just be in the midst of my sisters. So Alethea, tell us, how did this all come about in the birthing process?
Yeah. Well, it's interesting because it literally came from the same place that you were just speaking of. Just personally, I was feeling depressed. I was feeling alone. I was feeling angry, sad. Specifically when this pandemic started, it was like all of a sudden, all the things that I would do to stay, just around people, and especially, Black people, it just felt like all that was stripped away, because of this pandemic. And so, and then on top of that, with just everything that has been going on in the world, with Black Lives Matter, and then losing my mom, I think I just was craving something. I was like, I just need something to just feel people again. And if it can't physically, maybe we can make it virtually. I just wanted to just a space that just felt safe, and where I felt like I could be seen and heard, and
Yeah.
just people just understood me and knew what I was talking about.
Yeah.
And so I was like, if I'm feeling this way, if I'm struggling and I'm battling with all these different feelings, and um, I was like, there has to be more people in Spokane, and particularly Black people who are feeling the same way. And so,
Yeah.
being that I grew up basically in Spokane, I was like, I'm just gonna try it out. I'm gonna, send a letter to my boss and say, listen, like, this is something
Yes.
I want to do. Here's why it matters. Here's why it's important. Here's why having a space for Black people is necessary.
Yeah.
And here's why us as a white-led organization need to make sure that we, sponsor this,
Absolutely.
and sponsor it, and then step aside and just let it be
Yeah.
what it's going to be. And so that's kind of basically how it came about. And then I quickly was thinking about people that I wanted to help with this. And I have a lot of mentors. And so I was kind of thinking about like who could just do this. And Miss Keonta Duncan was
Mhm.
actually one of the like first people that I reached out to, and was like, listen, I have this idea and I think you would be perfect for it, because she's an amazing speaker,
Yes.
and she has such a big heart, and passion for just bringing people together.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so I was like, I need you. And she was like, bet, like done. It's
I
done.
love her.
So,
Yeah.
yeah, it's been great. It's been more than I thought it would be, if I'm being honest, because I wasn't sure. I just wasn't sure. Like I was like, I don't know if people are gonna like it or want to
Yeah.
come back, or so.
Okay. Let's just start with a conversation here. First of all, you went through something really hard, and I want to acknowledge that. And I just want to say I'm sending you all the strength and love, sis. Um, Two, that helped lead you to a place where you're saying, I need something, I need community. Three, you reach out to somebody else and they're like, let's do it. That's how easy this happens, right?
Literally.
This is how creativity, this is how programs, this is how support groups, all of the different things that we desire, this is how it happens.
Yeah.
And it's about showing up. Like, I cannot tell you enough. Sometimes people can't physically show up, but how can you show up in other ways? Whether it be talking to them, sharing their posts, spreading the word, connecting, supporting with your dollars, with your time, with your conversation. This is huge. So there was a study done by Harvard University, and it found that African-American people needed peer support groups alongside of their counseling to help them make a journey of recovery of whatever that may be. The percentage of people that actually went through that and had peer support and counseling at the same time, their recovery and their healing just skyrocketed. That is just how Black people are. We like community. We need community. And I would say even just in general, people, that cultural background, we all come from places of community. And so being able to have people that are in your space that have the same experiences, that understand what you're going through, can really shed light and give you encouragement, or just let you be, because sometimes you just need to be, right?
Just breathe and just,
yeah. Yeah, exactly. And so you need those spaces. And I felt like that is what you are creating, for many people who want to have that space of just, this is me. I don't have to hide it. This is what I got. Good, the bad, and the ugly.
Yes.
And so what has this space taught you about supporting one another, and what do you hope to achieve with this group?
Yeah, man, I mean, I feel like it's taught me that first and foremost, that we are all we we all are more alike than we are different.
Yeah.
I think that a lot of times it's very easy to just feel like you're alone in like everything that you're going through and the things that you're dealing with, and that you're the only person that's dealing with these things. And the reality is like, no,
Yeah.
you're not. And there are other people who are dealing with the same thing, and they have lived experiences that you
Mm.
can utilize, and use as a source of just encouragement and some 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 guidance, right? And we can lean on one another, which is
Yeah.
something that I'm still learning,
Yeah.
honestly. I think trust is something that it just takes time, but I'm learning that if you don't allow yourself to be vulnerable and just
Mm.
like yourself, that like it's okay to not
Yeah.
be okay,
Yep.
um, and it's okay to express that. I think this space has shown me that when you do that, just beautiful
Man.
conversations come,
Right. Right.
relationships start to form,
Mm-hmm.
uh, and that's when the healing starts to happen too.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and so yeah, it's just it's taught me a lot about what it means to love, like love people,
Yeah.
what it means to respect people, what it means to like actually build relationships,
Yes.
what it means to actually like be there for one another. And so what I'm hoping for is that as this keeps going, God willing, that um I don't know, that we'll start to, kind of dig deep and start talking about things that we as Black people don't typically like to talk about when it comes to our mental health, when it comes to our just overall well-being, when it comes to how we treat one another, whether it's,
Yes.
just colorism, whether it's in
Mm.
internalized internalized oppression, right? Whether
Yes.
it's, I mean, there's so many things that we just don't talk about. And so I'm just hoping that this space will be a space where we can challenge one another more and
Yeah.
really get to the root causes of, why we have so much, just a lot of just junk between each other, and helping each other to love one another and love
Mm.
ourselves and
Mm.
respect ourselves better.
Mm.
So that's kind of my like vision and like goal. And I want to bring other people to come and like, talk about self-care and like healing and just the issues around colorism and the issues around internalized, just all that stuff, whether it's like inviting you, Stephanie, even though you come to the space, but it's like
Yeah.
you're an expert at certain things. And so just like bringing leaders, who can come and just like teach,
Yeah.
and just have some real conversations,
Yeah.
so that we can actively be like, okay, like we can take these tools
Yep.
and heal, and then
Yep.
share them, and then hopefully just heal, like, you know what I mean? That,
Girl, do
that's
I know what you mean? I know what you mean. I know what you mean.
yeah,
Let
yeah.
me tell you, y'all, if y'all not watching the actual video of this, my face, you already know I'm the woman of many faces, okay? Everything you're talking about resides with me in such a deep way, because there are so many people that are out here hurting. There's so many people that are having issues and problems and all different kinds of things, and there's not a space for them to grow and develop and learn about themselves and really heal. You cannot have a connection with somebody until you have a connection with yourself. And
Period.
that's period. And I literally have been talking a lot to myself about this and trying to pour as much as I can this year into my life, because I realized that self-love is really an issue of many things. Why you can't have relationships with certain people, why you fall out with certain people, why you can't be reflexive about things that you've done and being able to be empathetic, being able to say, I can be transparent and I have no regrets, being able to say, I'm hurt and it's okay to show your vulnerability and your emotion, being able to say that I am more than just this. I am this story and much more. I'm not a book. I'm a chapter book. You know, I don't have any commas. I mean, I don't have any periods. I'm all commas. Like these things are like so important, and there's no space here in Spokane for us to do it. And what ends up happening, I feel like there's a form of isolation that happens. I'm reading the Black Spokane book. You guys, if you have not read this, by Dwayne, oh my gosh, his last name starts with an M.
Yes.
I have the book. Mac.
Well, yeah.
Mac. Dwayne Mac right here. Okay, let me tell you, this book is actually giving me a lot of insight, and I started reading this book because you can't understand something until you actually understand the history of it. And Spokane actually had a very strong group of people that connected and communed, and we did a lot of things in this community, and our community came from a lot of transplants. And I think that's what's really hard, is because when you come from different places that have really strong communities and you have sisterhood, you have younger generations, even our generation being able to hang out and connect and not just always at the club. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you go to the club, ain't nothing wrong with it. Do your thing, take it up.
Right.
My back ain't there all the way. But but you know, being able to do different things that are pouring into the culture and developing the culture, and keeping people here. People don't want to live here because they feel like there's no culture, there's no connection. But there is. But it's like these little silos. And if you don't get into the silos and you don't get into the spaces and you don't know how to break into them, you're going to be kind of left out on your own. And that is really hard. And so what you created, the support group, is extremely important. And it's going to help people that feel this isolation on such a high level be able to really break out of that and be able to say, I'm here, sis. I see you, you're different than me, and we have different stories and different roles and different journeys, but we're together in this, right?
Yes. And I've seen it. It's crazy because at first I was just focusing on people in Spokane. And then it was interesting to see how people outside of Spokane was receiving the link or the, registry. And then I started, talking to people from like Houston and Philadelphia and Seattle. And I mean, I was just like, oh, and then there was like a period where, teenagers were coming. It was like amazing because I was like, wow, like we have to reach, our youth. And then there was more men that were coming too, which was amazing. Like see, like the like specks of Black men that would show up. And so it's amazed me, I think, where it's been going. And so I'm just really excited for like what's to come, because I just have so many ideas about, having a space for just Black women, having space for Black men, and having a space for the youth, and kind of what that looks like. So yeah, I'm just grateful that I had the support that I had, that there was no pushback with doing this, because I feel like that plays a big role as well. If you don't have the support, then it's like, which honestly, even if I didn't get the support from the organization that I work for, I probably would have done it, anyway, but just, on my own, basically.
There's so much to this, you guys. Like, I don't know who's hearing this, where you're at, but if something's in your heart and you're like, our community needs this, start it. I think that's the thing that is so hard for a lot of people, is they get in their own head and they're like, no one's going to want to do this. It's just me. Or you hear discouraging words from somebody and they're like, ain't nobody going to come to that. Like, no, a lot of people are coming to it and you coming to it. And that's just what it is. Like, we are good. And so, if you have something that you want to give to your community, we've got to be more intentional about giving back to our community, not just the Black community, but the Spokane community, because we have a platform that has basically broken all boundaries and doors. You do not have to live in Spokane, like you said, in order to connect. You do not have to live in the same block. You don't have to be in the same vicinity. Social media has made it possible for us to connect in unique ways. And I will tell you, that has been groundbreaking for me as well. And when we're looking at our community, there's so many different challenges that we have on so many different levels. So tell me a little bit about what you do and why it's important to you.
So as I mentioned, I'm the program manager for equity and engagement for BHT here in Spokane. And so basically what that entails is anything equity related. We are specifically working within public health. And so we have a lot of different partners that are in the healthcare industry, in the school industry, and basically we just work with them to just make sure that people are getting the best, care that they can with, whether it's, with your teeth, whether it's, with the mental, whether it's, just holistic health. And we have so many different programs that I could talk forever about, but particularly what I do is like currently I manage a trusted messenger project, which basically is just being able to give some funding to organizations that are led by Black, Indigenous, and people of color, as well as LGBTQ plus, to just help them make sure that they can keep doing the work that they've been doing. So I think it's really important to say that I believe in just making sure that we uplift the organizations and the leaders that have been doing the work and are continuing to do the work, instead of trying to remake something. It's no, like there are resources here, there are leaders here, there are amazing nonprofits and just like programs that are here. And so let's build those up and let's make sure that they can keep doing it.
Oh my goodness.
So that's something that was important to me. So basically, because we're in this pandemic, there were organizations that were really trying to just do whatever they could to just make sure that, if people wanted to get vaccinated, they had a space that was safe to get vaccinated. If people didn't want to get vaccinated, they still had a safe space to come and talk to a doctor or a nurse that looks like them, to talk about just any of their just, fears, or just people had a lot of questions, right? Especially people of color, because historically we just don't trust vaccines. We don't trust the healthcare system. We don't trust none of that because of how it has affected and impacted our families historically and currently. So there's a lot of trauma. And so just being able to make sure that there are spaces for folks to just talk and just ask questions and just say, hey, like, I'm not feeling this, and here's why. Or hey, like, I don't have a good relationship with just the healthcare system in general. And so who can I talk to just be like, listen, I need help. Like, I need a doctor. I need a therapist. I need whatever it is. And to be able to have a space, whether it's, I'm just trying to think of, like, I think, so there was like a vaccine event at the Native Project. And the NAACP was there, and like the
supporting. Love it.
Yeah. Sandy was there with her amazing, I mean, Sandy's amazing.
Amazing.
And it was just like a party. Like literally it was a party where people could come. Of course, everybody was like, you know, masked
up. Yeah.
Like people could come to get vaccinated. People could come to ask questions. People could just come to just be, I mean, there was dancing. There was, I mean, food. And so just wanting to support these amazing clinics and just leaders who are like, listen, we're just trying to help BIPOC people just get through this time that's just so, you know, hard, and that is literally like impacting in the most crazy ways, whether it's with jobs, you know, food, I mean, just so many things. We want to make spaces that make people feel safe to just come and get whatever they need, mask, you know, sanitizer, gloves, food. Just whatever. And a place for people to learn about some of the things that are here in Spokane that a lot of people didn't know. Certain places offered things like they didn't know about, you know, the fact that we have an MLK Center and what services they offer. You know, so that's just one project that I am currently managing, which has been awesome. And then in addition to that, I mean, I help with, you know, facilitating some trainings that talk about privilege, talk about racism, that talk about intersectionality, and really, you know, just reminding people, specifically people who work within the healthcare industry, like why all these things are important, and that you cannot give the best care to anybody if you don't know these things, and if you don't make sure that you are treating people regardless of their race, regardless of regardless of where they come from, regardless of any of that. Like, you cannot give people the best care without making sure that you are treating people like human beings.
Exactly. I love the work that you're doing. And I think that's the thing, is that so many of us don't even know what each other are doing, where we work, what's going on. And some of it, people are like, I don't want people to know my business. That's fine. But there's a point where we've got to also connect so that we can understand the resources that are out there. When you said like, hey, we're giving money to small businesses in certain ways and helping them make it through this pandemic, that's a huge thing. The Spokesman Review published an article that inspired me to birth a lot of this conversation out of. 40% of African-American businesses have closed due to the pandemic. So if we have people that we have no assistance or help, or we don't know what's out there, we're having organizations and ground root community services that are closing, that are going to be able to help people. But if they're not existent, what are we going to do? So, you know, what you do is really important. I just want to thank you so much for that rundown, and just being able to say, this is what we're doing, and this is how we're recognizing the harm and the hurt that's been done by the community. I haven't talked very much about, you know, many clinics or anything like that. But one of the things that I shed a lot of light on in my Girl Get a Doula podcast series is, you know, there are a lot of people that are so protective over their body because of the different things that have happened to them, regardless if it's infertility, you know, going through different treatments, you know, if they get that vaccination, or if they get even like chemo treatment and something bad happens to them, sorry is not enough. You know, you have to make that choice. And I love that you guys have these clinics going on, and you guys are educating people and talking to people and letting them know that, you know, whatever your choice is, we're here for you, and these are the other services that are here for you. I just love that. So I just want to thank you so much for that. And so one of the last questions that I really wanted to just touch on really quick here is about equity. How are we in our community seeing equity and really building a bridge around that?
Yeah, that is a good question. Man, I think at least for me, I feel like there's so much um, that we're seeing that it's just not, um, it's not catering to the needs of, the most impacted, right?
Mm,
And so really a question that I'm always kind of like wrestling with is like, like how do we make things more equitable? Because the reality is that there are a lot of things that are not
yeah,
equitable.
right.
The healthcare system is not equitable. It wasn't built to as that being the foundation, that making sure that these systems are functioning and working for everyone,
Yeah.
right? Um, and so I don't know. I think as far as my role, um, and me working for a nonprofit that is white led, right?
Mhm.
Um, I think that um, a big part of my role is to try to help build the bridge
Mhm.
between just like healthcare um, and BIPOC, people
Yeah.
who have, again, I mean, historically and currently, have been traumatized
Yeah.
by experiences that they have had because of how they were treated
Yeah.
by doctors, by nurses,
Yes.
um, and
Yes.
and just emphasizing that the system has failed,
Yeah.
continue
Absolutely.
to fail
Absolutely.
BIPOC people and
Right.
families.
Right.
And so really just a lot of it is just like unlearning and like undoing
Mhm.
a lot of the structures and the policies that are in place that are not working,
Yeah.
um, have not been working. At least it's not working for everyone. It's not working for Black, Indigenous, and people of color. It's not working
Mhm.
for Hispanics and Latinos and like Asian, like
Mhm.
it has not been working.
Yeah.
It has been working for, one group of people, but it has
Exactly.
not been actively working for certain people and their families. And so
Mm.
really challenging organizations, whether it be, I don't know, like Providence or Frontier Behavioral Health or Multicare, or I mean, I can go, the list is on,
Yeah.
just even down to the city of Spokane, like
Yeah.
challenging them to really think about, okay, what policies and structures are in place
Mhm.
that are causing harm and that have been causing harm and that
Mm.
not actually helping people that people will say all day that they like want to serve. People will say
Yeah.
all day that they want to serve Black people and they want to serve, LGBTQ plus, and they want to serve Native Americans and they want to
Mhm.
serve, but like, okay, but what are you actually doing to make
Doing.
sure
Yes.
that how you're operating and how your structures are to make sure that it's actually, helping and not
Yeah.
harming.
Oh my
And
goodness.
I think a big thing that my organization we had talked about a lot is intent
Yeah.
versus impact, and
Mm.
recognize that even if your intention is good,
Yep.
it does not matter if the impact is still causing harm.
That's
Um,
it.
and so that's something that when we talk about equity, it's not about intent, because you
Yeah.
can intend so many things
Yeah.
until you're blue in
Yeah.
the face, but like
Yeah.
what impact are you making, and how are you intentionally and actively making positive change, um, so that people can just live and take
Yeah.
care of their families and just survive, and that plays out through, I mean, everything from
Wow.
housing to freaking oral health
Yes.
to education
Yes.
to, I mean,
Yes.
all of it, like holistic health. And
Yes.
so, yeah, that's kind of my answer is that
My goodness.
I personally don't see I don't see it.
Yeah.
What I see is a lot of structures and policies that are not working, and they haven't been working, and people know that, but they're not doing anything to actually fix it. They're not reaching out to the leaders of color, and the orgs that are led by people of color and LGBTQ to like just say like, hey,
what's going
I
on?
am here. I am here to listen.
Yeah.
And I want to support, not save,
Take
not,
over.
you know what I mean? But just to support, and really hear you, because we trust that you know what's best for your
community. Absolutely.
Oh,
Oh my goodness, this is so good. Y'all, I don't know who needs to hear this, but let me tell you, I've been moving and grooving all this time she's been talking. I'm trying to keep myself together and so I can let her talk, because let me tell you, you are hitting some points that are extremely crucial to many conversations. And a lot of times we don't want to have them because they're uncomfortable and they require us to be reflexive and think about our own practices, not only among people outside of the BIPOC community, but within the BIPOC community, because the work has to be done within the community. And if we don't do that and we don't encourage each other and create spaces for us to do that, we can't find true healing. We can't find true freedom. We can't find true equity within our community. And when we say the word equity, I want you guys to think of the word fairness. Like, what is fair? And this is not to say that, you know, white people have not dealt with poverty, white people have not dealt with struggle, white people have not dealt with all different types of injustices within that self, because there's different sectors of our lives that will also isolate us to deal with certain things. But what we're talking about is a community of people that typically have literally just came out of slavery or just came out of certain structural systems such as Jim Crow that have kept them oppressed and pressed down, and we still continue to have these systems, or we use the same systems that are still perpetuating the same results. So, you know, and they're in different ways. It's morphed, you know what I mean? It's not the same little caterpillar. This thing is a full-blown butterfly. So let's actually let's talk about those things so that we can make true change. And part of that is really finding spaces for us to be able to make conversation that will help us to create action. And I love what you are talking about and what you do. What's your last piece of advice for someone in our community that just feels like they're invisible and their voice and their passion and their dream doesn't matter?
Wow, that's a good one. Wow. That's a good question. Piece of advice. Man, I would just say, first and foremost, you do matter. If you are still living and breathing and functioning, you still have purpose. You're not done. You still have value, you still have worth. And so just remember that, and also to allow yourself to feel. I mean, allow yourself to grieve, allow yourself to cry, allow yourself to just feel what you need to feel. And I will say therapy is great. I think everybody should do therapy. It doesn't mean that there's something like wrong with you if you decide to do therapy. And you don't have to be going through a midlife crisis to also do therapy. I think investing in yourself, and investing in your own healing and your own growth, and really taking the time to learn about yourself, but also be gracious to yourself. It's just wonderful. One of my mentors told me that self-love and self-care is like probably one of the most like racist thing that you could ever do.
Yeah.
And the greatest way to like fight against just all of these terrible systems. And so yeah, I guess that would be my advice.
I love it.
And just love
it.
people. That's what this is all about. It's just being open to always loving people and like learning how to love people better and yourself better. Yeah, that's it.
Tina, oh my goodness, this is so good. Like, I don't know who needs to hear this, but let me tell you, I'm sending you all the strength and love, you guys. I hope your mind, body, soul was fed by this conversation, because let me tell you, mine was. This was just so good for me. I'm so glad that we got together to have this conversation, and hopefully it's not our last. And just to be able to connect on such a deep level, and to be able to be together and understand what is happening in the world and how we can fix it. If people want to reach out to you, where do they go? How can they connect with you?
Listen, so I have a Facebook. It is Alethea Dumas. Yes, my full government name. And that's probably where you can find me the most, honestly. I don't have an Instagram, but maybe I might get one just because it's
play around with it.
People been asking a lot about that. So, but yeah, Facebook is probably the one place that you can find me. Also, I mean, you can email me always, alethea@betterhealthtogether.org. Yeah, just email me, and yeah, message me on Facebook. I'm pretty good about responding. So yeah, if people want to connect or talk or have questions even, or just want to cry or express, I am here.
I love it. Thank you, Alethea. You guys, don't worry if you're driving. All of the information will be down below. You guys, and if you haven't already and you're on Spotify or one of those handy dandy podcast series, make sure you follow us so that you can be alerted when we drop new podcasts every day, you guys. Remember to follow us at TLP Talk, you guys. I'm so excited about this series. Keep sharing, and if you know somebody that needs to hear this, share with them. You know my motto: don't give them flowers, don't give them candies. Give them something that's going to feed the mind, body, and soul, and send them this podcast. Thank you guys so much for listening. And until next time, bye. Hi, this is Stephanie. I just want to say thank you so much for listening to my podcast segment today. I don't know if you live in the Spokane, Washington area, but we are encouraging everyone that owns a Black-owned business, at least 50%, to register their businesses with the Carl Maxey organization. You do not want to miss this. Check out their page and definitely enroll your organization or business to stay connected with our local community.